Thank you. Thanks, Herb. Thanks. Hello, everybody. I'm Alfie. I do impressions. They're fantastic. So fantastic. They're the greatest impressions of all time. That's right, Barack Obama. Now, Barack Obama is much shorter, more clipped, more statesmanlike. We're need change. Less is more. I think you'll agree. And I've always done impressions. More recently, I've worked on the BBC as a radio host and presenter and journalist. Before that, I was a stand-up comedian. Did that for about 20 years. Before that, I was a Harrods toy demonstrator. And in that bag is the toy I used to demonstrate. And if you're good, but only if you're good, I'll show you the toy. And it's really good. And before I was a toy demonstrator, I was a monk. And before I was a monk, I trained to be a priest. And before I was a trainee priest, I was a boy who did impressions. There you go. So it's a bit of a weird sort of journey. And as a boy, I dreamed of doing all of those things. I dreamed of being on the radio, fantasized about it. Used to listen to the radio with my mum all the time. Thought, wouldn't it be great to have your own radio show? Well, that didn't happen to lads like me where I was from. I used to dream of being on the telly doing impressions. That doesn't happen to lads like me where I'm from. And I wanted to be a comedian because me and my dad loved comedy. But that didn't happen to lads like me where I was from. And very often we settle for the ordinary, don't we? Instead of the extraordinary, which is mad, isn't it? If you want to do something, go and do it. It's your life. It's your story. You're in charge of the script. Don't let anybody else write your story. Make it as fascinating, as interesting as you can. And it's hard, because a lot of people like to pigeonhole us and suppress our dreams and keep them dreams in a little box. Don't open that. That's just your dreams. And very often I've been stuck in the middle lane of life. And when you're on the motorway, there's nothing more annoying than the middle lane driver. And that's been me many times, hesitating, cautious, overcautious, don't want to take any risks. How annoying is the middle lane driver? Dead annoying. Move to the side, think, jump, move, overtake, but you don't. Because so many people might judge you. What if I do overtake and somebody thinks bad of me? And yet, endlessly, there are opportunities zooming past, moments where we could pull out and do something more interesting. But we're always scared of those people, the negative naysayers, the skeptics, the cynics, the sarcastic. And we give them so much attention instead of thinking about the positive people in our life, the teacher, the coach, the mum, the dad, the person who punches your arm and says, you can do it. And if you haven't got somebody like that in your life, first of all, I'd be amazed. But secondly, if you haven't, I'll do it for you now. Because I really believe anyone can change lanes. Because if I can do it, a simple lad from a simple place like where I was from, I really believe anyone can change lanes. Let me tell you about some of my lane changes. When I was 7, my teacher did something probably your teachers did about the same age and said, draw in your book what you'd like to be when you grow up. And everybody drew the usual astronaut, cowboy, policeman, nurse, that kind of thing. And I drew, when I was 7, I drew a Catholic priest. I know, weird. Very weird. My dad was Catholic, he didn't go to church. My mum wasn't Catholic. And I drew myself with a dog collar on and a pipe. I didn't know e-cigs were going to be here. And I drew myself, and Mrs. Darby went, oh, that's interesting, isn't it? And Mr. Smith, one of my great inspirations, said, do you really want to do that? And I said, yes, sir. And he kept asking me every year, do you still want to do that? And I did, and I don't know why, but I kept wanting to do it. And it's a bit like the Billy Elliot story now, because my dad was a coal miner, and off I went to Hogwarts for little trainee priests instead of wizards. And the night before I went, my dad cried all night. He couldn't come to terms with it. He didn't know how to talk about it. And all he said was, son, if you want to come home, pack your bags and come home. We'll come and get you. We didn't have a car, but his mate Kenny Halliwell did, so that was all right. So I knew it was possible. And that was my dad giving me permission to do what I wanted. I knew he wasn't keen on it, but he said, you go and do it, son. And off I went, and it was incredible. Father Barron, the drama teacher, inspired me, so I could do my little bit of show business all the while and act in plays and do bits of comedy here and there. An unbelievable experience after experience while I was trained to be a priest. I can't believe when I look back, it's like an out-of-body experience on all the things I did. I went into schools as a chaplain. I went into hospitals, a hospice I worked at for a time. I did a 2-year stretch in prison, got out on good behavior as a chaplain. Incredible. And everywhere I went, there were great stories. Everyone had an amazing story. Whether they were living it, whether they hadn't decided to write it, the potential was there. Stories, I've collected them all my life, and that's helped propel me on to keep changing lanes. And as a trainee priest, I was about to be ordained, and this was a massive shift for me. I'd done it for 10 years, and I'd observed this religious order who were in the same seminary, and they used to go out and do this outreach work for poor people in poor areas, and I was so impressed with them. I thought, actually, I like what they do. So I had to go to the bishop who supported me and paid for me training and everything. I had to ask him permission to leave, and he wasn't pleased. And I went and I had to phone my mum and tell my mum that I was joining an order that she hadn't heard of. It might as well have been the Moonies for all she knew, but I was telling her I was joining the Salesians of Don Bosco, a missionary order. And off I went with them. And I did that for 5 years. And they said, what do you want to do? You look like you love drama. You've always liked this acting thing. Why don't you go to London and do a drama degree and you can teach in one of our schools? So off I went to teach in London, or so I thought. And we did a module in stand-up comedy. And it changed my life again. I'd felt nothing like it. That first stand-up gig. Racked with nerves. I woke up nervous, on the loo all day. And I did that gig. And honestly, I remember all my friends saying, wow, that was great. We're all going to a party now. I said, I can't. I've just got to be on my own. I walked home about 5 miles. I floated all the way. And I went to see Father John in the order. He was head of the order. And I said, I've just had an amazing experience. I've done stand-up comedy. And I think it's what I've always wanted to do. And he said, you've made your mind up, haven't you? And that's all I'd done for 15 years. And I had to phone my mum again. I said, you know what, I've decided to leave. And she said, well, she'd become Catholic by this time. She changed lanes just because she wanted a piece of my action. So my mum says, but what are you going to do? That's all you've ever done. 15 years of your life. You haven't got a piece of paper. You haven't got a certificate, a qualification. What are you going to do? I said, it's all right, Mum. I'm going to do stand-up. Well, she wasn't laughing. And off I went to do the clubs. Very long journey again. Lots and lots of gigs for free. Lots and lots of dreams. Again, impossible dreams. I'll never play the Comedy Store. I'll just play pubs and that'll be enough for me. And I ended up playing the Comedy Store. I'll never be in a sitcom. I ended up in 2 sitcoms. I ended up as a TV warm-up man for University Challenge. I know. I can't believe all these things have been ticked off one after another. It was like somebody was making up my wish list. And then I got a call from the BBC. Mr. Robson said, would you like to do a show at BBC Newcastle? Well, I scratched my head. I thought, this is unbelievable. As a kid, I used to cassette my own. Look them up on Google. It'll blow your mind. I used to use a cassette to record my own radio shows. But I never thought I'd ever have a radio show. That didn't happen to lads like where I was from. And I ended up with my own radio show. After a year, Mr. Robson said, do you want to do the breakfast show? I said, I can't do the breakfast show because that's serious and you have to interview cabinet ministers and you've got to do serious stuff and I don't really do it. He said, well, give it a try. We'll put you with the best journalist there is and she's great. I think she's here today. And that, again, blew my mind. gave me another terrific experience. And I thought, wow, that's it. It's complete. I can't change lanes any more times. And then, as a sort of sideline, I'd been doing impressions on YouTube with a pal of mine. Young lad, loves doing impressions. Said, can we do some impressions together? You do some, I do some. We'll mix and match. So we put some on YouTube. And we got a call. By the way, a naysayer at the BBC where we were recording them. He said, what are you doing tonight with all them wigs and hats and everything? So we're doing some impressions for YouTube. He said, what, at your age? I think that's over. He's a nice fella, and I don't think he meant any harm. And we put them on YouTube, and not long after, we got a call from a talent show called Britain's Got Talent. And they said, can you come on Britain's Got Talent and do some impressions? The trouble is, it's in a week, no auditions, you're straight in front of the live judges, 10 million people watching you. I thought, oof, you can get buzzed off. That'll be on YouTube forever. I said, no. And my wife said, yes. And my boss at the BBC said, you're doing it. So off we went to London. In the Dominion Theatre, 4 judges there, Simon Cowell and that lot. And we did 3 minutes of impressions, and we got 4 yeses from the judges. We got standing ovations, and we couldn't believe it. And that clip's on YouTube, nearly 3 million hits. Again, it's got to stop there. I can't change. And then I looked back and I thought, hang on, there's a 10-year phenomenon going on here. So in my 20s, I trained to be a priest and did the monk stuff and all that. In my 30s, I was a comedian. In my 40s, I did the radio and the impressions. What can I do in my 50s? And I was hosting some events and some of my opening bits. I thought, I'll do with cartoons. I've always drawn a bit and doodled and stuff. Never brilliant. So I was drawing and stuff, and I put some up on some slides. And a fella said, hey, I think you've got a book in you. Mr. Thompson, he's got a gallery in Newcastle. And he said, no, I'd like some of your pictures for my gallery. I said, well, I've got none. He said, well, draw some. I said, I can't sell, I'm not good enough to draw them. So he said, well, come to my gallery and have a look. And I had a look, and I thought, I can't draw this good. Anyway, he gave me a wall, and he encouraged me, and he told me I had to do it, and I kept on trying, and I kept on working at it. And I've got a wall at his gallery, and I've got a wall at another gallery, and my first book's out this month, and it's all cartoon. And then I've got another one that's off to the publishers. And it's like I've been living the dream. Here's the catch. All of that is possible. And I know some of you will be sitting there thinking, it's all right for you, you're confident, you're full of beans, you've got talent. I don't agree with that. I think nearly everything I've done has just demanded so much hard work. And I would say that is just the story. Yeah, if you want to live your dream, you've got to work harder than anything. And you think how hard you do doing a job you don't like, it is that possible. You know, how many people just, hey, sit in a life of frustrated tension, but think about the pension. Why not do what you want to do? This proves a point here that you've been so good. I'm going to show you my toy. So I'm walking through Harrods, and I'm thinking, ooh, I could demonstrate that toy, I could demonstrate that toy. And I get to the very end, and this guy, he's there with this. And it is the Super Stunter plane, 3 in a pack, they all fly back, red, yellow, and blue, they all come back to you. I've still got it, you still want it. Who's the daddy now? Oh, yes, here we go. And the first day I did this, I got the job, and all we were being paid, we were getting no basic pay. You got paid 30 pence a packet. And the first day I sold 1 packet. I went over the pub and bought a glass of Coke, and I'd spent more on a glass of Coke than I earned. So I went home. I didn't have any talent at this. So I went home and I practiced all night. And the next day I sold a few more. By the end of that month, because I was practicing every night so hard, I could do this. Hopefully. So give us a little drum roll, friends. Here we are. That's it. Rattle your thighs. A chair in front. There we go. Look at the tension now. It's great, isn't it? Here we go. Meow. Well, hey, how about that? There you are. Whoa. There you are. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, just to finish with, if you haven't got someone in your life who gives you permission to follow your dreams, to follow your heart, to follow your passion. I'm sure you've got, like I had, a Mr. Smith, a Father Barron, a Jill at the BBC, a Mr. Robson, a Mr. Thompson. If you haven't got someone like that, come and find me, because I will tell you, you can achieve anything you want, because if a simple lad like me can do it, anybody can. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks.